Hello and welcome to a special edition Top 10s video from TopTenzNet, and in this video we're teaming up with our friends over at Top 10 Archive, who also do amazing Top 10 videos, and in this one we're looking at the Top 10 sad stories of stuntmen who died on the job. Number 10. Kun Liu in the Expendables 2. One of the calling cards of the popular Expendables movie is their lack of reliance on computer-generated effects. They are tributes to the old days of action movies, populated with real stunts and providing a welcome retreat from the modern influx of CGI. Though extraordinary to watch, the lack of computer fakery also increases the risk of injury and death for performers. In 2011, an explosion scene on a rubber boat being shot for Expendables 2 in Bulgaria went horribly wrong. Two stunt people were seriously injured, Nyo-sun and Kun Liu, with the former able to recover but the latter dying in hospital from his wounds. Filming continues while the actors publicly express their sympathies. The film is dedicated to Kun Liu's memory.
Number 9. Liu Yanqing in Red Cliff. After enjoying success in his native Hong Kong, director John Woo moved to Hollywood to direct major films such as Face Off and Mission Impossible 2. Though he enjoyed an initial burst of wild success, as the years went on, the commercial viability and critical success of his films decreased. 2009's Red Cliff represented a change of tact, a return to his native Hong Kong to mount the most expensive Asian-financed production in history. But something went wrong on the set when a second-unit crew was shooting a scene in which a small boat collided with an ancient warship, starting an uncontrollable fire and injuring several crew members. Trapped in the blaze, the 23-year-old Liu Yanqing quickly burned to death. The film went on to gross a huge amount of money and was a major critical success, but the experience was soured for all by this tragic accident.
Number 8. Jose Marco in Shark. Though the movie has been long forgotten, the unfortunate death of stuntman Jose Marco is remembered for its gruesomeness. While shooting an underwater sequence, a shark managed to break through the protective netting that separated Marco from the animal and maul him to death. The film was directed by cult icon Samuel Fuller, who disowned it when the tragedy was used by the promoters to advertise. It didn't turn out to be a successful strategy, as the movie was quickly hurried out of theaters and doomed to a lifetime of cable obscurity.
Number 7. Jack Tyree in The Sword and the Sorcerer. Other cast members had reputedly warned Jack Tyree about the 80-foot fall from a cliff he performed in The Sword and the Sorcerer, but the 10-year veteran stuntman did it all the same. He had previously performed in Escape from New York, Alligator, Planet of the Apes, Kojak, and The Rockford Files, so perhaps his experience prevented others from completely dissuading him. Tragically, he landed just short of the airbag and was killed on impact. Though the jump is included in the finished film, the impact is not.
Number 6. Chris Lamon in Exit Wounds. In terms of Steven Seagal's career trajectory, 2001's Exit Wounds came after the inexplicable success of movies like Hard to Kill and Above the Law, but before the glut of low-budget direct-to-DVD fare that would follow. It was one of a handful of films that attempted to bridge the gap between Eastern martial arts and mainstream hip-hop, such as Cradle to the Grave and Romeo Must Die, a gap that few would think needed bridging. The surprise hit was also the cause of the sad, tragic death of stuntman performer Chris Lamon, who slipped when jumping from the back of a moving van. Two people were involved in the accident, and both collided headfirst with the pavement, though the other performer survived with a concussion.
Number 5. Paolo Rigon in For Your Eyes Only. Considering the amount of death-defying stunts in every James Bond film, in some ways it's lucky that tragedy hadn't struck any earlier. It was the last day of shooting a bobsled chase for the film when the sled flipped and 23-year-old Paolo Rigon was pinned under it, killing him instantly. For Your Eyes Only may not be considered among the best of the Bonds, but it's often singled out for praise because of its impressive stunts.
Number 4. Joseph Leonard Svec in The Right Stuff. The Right Stuff is an engrossing movie that tracks the history of aviation and space travel through the eyes of a few brave men. Based on real events, a tragedy occurred when filming a scene recreating a real-life incident involving famous test pilot Chuck Yeager. In 1963, Yeager was flying an NF-104 fighter plane when it began to stall and fill the cockpit with smoke. Yeager was able to survive by ejecting, but Joseph Leonard Svec, the stuntman recreating the scene, was not. A smoke canister simulating the smoke from the falling vehicle filled Svec's helmet, knocking him unconscious before he could eject. The plane then hit the ground, killing him on impact.
Number 3. A.J. Bakunas in Steel. In a rare case where the stunt has become more famous than the movie itself, stuntman A.J. Bakunas attempted a record-breaking jump from the 22nd floor of a construction site, a height of 96 meters or 315 feet. He had committed to the decision after his previous world record had been shattered by fellow thrill-seeker Dar Robinson. It was an act of spectacular bravery that would quickly turn deadly. As a young man, Bakunas quit his job as a gym teacher to become a stuntman. Since his first performance in Dog Day Afternoon, he had earned a wide reputation for the quality of his falls. His father and a crowd of over 1,000 others watched as Bakunas attempted the amazing jump. He performed it perfectly, but the airbag split on impact and he died the next day from his injuries.
Number 2. Harry L. O'Connor in Triple X. Triple X, perhaps most notable among its young male audience for introducing them to the curves of Asia Argento, was a massive financial success that grossed $277 million and earned a sequel 3 years later. Unknown to many, however, was that the production was also marked with a tragic death. Stuntman Harry L. O'Connor was killed when filming a parasailing scene when he accidentally smashed into a bridge at an extremely high speed. Director Rob Cohen chose to include the footage from the deadly take in the finished film, cutting away before the final impact.
Number 1. Sonia Davis in Vampire in Brooklyn. A notable turkey in the career of horror icon Wes Craven, the critical reputation of Vampire in Brooklyn couldn't have been helped by the death of one of its stunt performers, Sonia Davis. While every accident on this list is undeniably tragic, her unfortunate demise seems especially needless. The stunt was a 45-foot backwards drop, the impact of which should have been cushioned by the airbag she was provided. Because of its poor positioning, however, she instead bounced off it, colliding with the building she had fallen from before smashing to the ground. Reports from afterwards indicated that the airbag had been placed in a different position than she had anticipated, and the bag itself was not equipped to deal with such a large fall. Worst of all, 3 of Davis's children were present on the set to watch her perform the stunt. No emergency staff were available after the injury, so the crew were forced to wait an agonizing 15 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. Davis was then taken to the hospital, where she spent 13 days in a coma before passing away. Davis had been enjoying an extraordinary career as a stunt performer, serving as a double for Angela Bassett, Janet Jackson, and Whoopi Goldberg, and appearing in movies like Time Cop and Deep Cover. Around the time of her death, friend and industry professional Bob Miner called her the top black stunt woman in the business.
So I really hope you liked that video. If you did like it, make sure to click the like button below to let us know and leave a comment and share it with a friend. As I mentioned, this was a collaboration with our friends over at Top 10 Archive, and you can check out their channel by clicking the annotation on the screen now that says Top 10 Archive. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.